Well, it looks like we're live on the internet.
Hello, hello. You're listening to the Goggler podcast. Ian Bahir and Uma with you. And this week, we're going to be talking about the brand new Malaysian movie, Prebet Sapu, which is our official entry for Best International Feature at the 95th or 94th Academy Awards. That's the next one, I think. I can't remember which one. We are also going to be reviewing Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. We're going to be talking about a very fun experience we had with Secret Cinema Ghostbusters. But before we get into any of that stuff, there was a new teaser, first look type thing at Spider-Verse 2, which dropped at CCXW, which is the Brazilian fan convention. Like their version of Comic-Con, essentially.
Yeah. Spider-Verse 2 Part 1.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes. No, Spider-Verse... Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, is that what they're calling it? It's not Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
It's not Into the Spider-Verse Part 2.
It's not Into the
Across
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which will be confusing grandmothers everywhere if they ever do anything else with it.
I mean, to be fair, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was already an SEO nightmare.
Yeah, I think you knew what it was. It's the long one, the one with the long title. Not the
one with the long title.
Yeah, but then it's also, Far From Home, and what is No Way Home? So
Homecoming,
it's kind of the Spider-Verse thing. It's the
Sony likes their long titles.
Yeah, I can't wait till he becomes a cowboy on a rancher and it's home on the range.
Hey.
Also a very bad Disney cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, I thought it was amazing.
Come on, it was all of 90 seconds.
Yeah, it was about slightly longer, about 2.5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yes, 2.5 minutes. Yeah. No, but you're right. I mean, I jest, but it looks great. I mean, they've obviously done something different, but they haven't changed it up too much. You know what I mean? Like there's a progression with the animation style, but it's still the Spider-Verse style. So. Right. Well, that's kind of cool.
That's what I'm wondering, because there's the opening of it is Miles and Gwen talking to Miles and him being quite shocked at that. But later on, it gets to him swinging through almost looks like abstract art.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forget. I only did it earlier today, but I forgot. There's another image, and it looks like it's Indian or Thai text in the background when he's swinging. And this image, you miss all this when you watch the trailer. It was only when getting images for this I realized that, like, all this stuff, I thought it was abstract. But no, apparently that's the future. Maybe that's what's going on there. All that stuff is like future hologram stuff that Miguel O'Hara.
Miguel O'Hara, yeah.
Maybe he's protecting his own multiverse from Miles or whatever. But there's more to it than I thought there originally was, because I was like, this looks like more Spider-Verse. I mean, that's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. But I didn't think it was changing up too much. But the main thing that changed was that Miles is a bit older now.
Yes.
Yeah, Miles looks a bit older. I was looking at clips from the original film as well, and they did change the animation style on him too. Like the way his face is rendered looks slightly different, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the shading, the coloring looks a bit different from the original film.
I mean, since the original, there's probably more teraflops available, right? Anyway.
No,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but also I think the amount of thought the team put into the different animation styles based on how far along Miles was in his evolution to becoming Spider-Man, it could be other things as well, right? You know what I mean? Like, remember they were doing it in ones, and then they were doing it in twos at first, and then when Miles became better at swinging, he was doing it in one. So it could be one of those things that he's now sort of comfortable in his Spider-Man nest, so he's more put together, maybe. I don't know, but it could just be one of those things. I mean, I could read into it all day, but.
But in the 3 years since the original one was out, I mean, it's interesting that Sony tried to do a little bit of this new animation style with Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But we haven't really seen any other major animation house kind of take up this kind of, I want to call it mixed media animation. And yeah, they seem to be leading the way in, like, it's interesting, right? Because even the stuff we see with Spider-Man 2099 and those fast cuts, almost sketchy style hand-drawn animation, it's not unfinished work. It seems like it's intentional because it transitions from that into something else, like you were saying, Ian, into abstract art, into and all of that is used with a purpose, right? Like when we saw it happen in the first multiverse movie, as he's fighting Kingpin at the end, and the whole world is collapsing on itself, and we see the animation styles change. It was so cool, and it felt fresh and new, and so exciting.
Wherever they're meeting, maybe it's taking a while for him to adjust, but also it's taking him a while to like adjust to dimensional travel, but also taking him a while to adjust to this giant Bane-looking Spider-Man 2099 coming at him. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't that big at the end of the first movie, right?
No, he wasn't. He looked pretty normal.
Yeah. He looks like a luchador.
He looks like he's being distorted by something, right?
I wonder if it was a distortion thing. Yeah.
There was a storyline this year in 2020 comics. Because Marvel had abandoned the 2099 story for a long time. But they revisited it, and it was something about the future collapsing in on itself. And it had, Spider-Man and Ghost Rider and all these characters they introduced in their 2099 line. I think it was an anniversary. It might have been 20 years ago or something like that, or 25 years ago.
Yeah,
and so
2099 is all news now.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And so I'll be interested to see how much it actually ties into that story, or if Sony is going, actually, with Venom, with Morbius, and all of this stuff, we're going to tie in our animated stuff into the MCU as well.
I think that
would be fucking cool.
That would be amazing, but I think that's the Sony version of Mephisto. We'll find out when No Way Home comes out, but everyone's talking about who's in and who isn't in
You know what? Forget Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Spider-Ham, animated Spider-Ham shows up in No Way Home, and I'm in.
That would be fantastic.
I want
Nicolas Cage Noah.
Nicolas Cage, I was just gonna say I want that guy. I mean, I think there's been so much build up about the other Spider-Mans maybe not showing, maybe showing. I'm wondering if it's just like, I'm wondering if the Sony marketing guys are just like, who brought this up? Why are we wasting energy trying to figure this out? Yeah, there's going to be a mass of just really angry and disappointed Spider fans because they've built something up that was never going to be in it. You know what I mean? Like,
welcome to fandom. That's everything.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
What if Rey was Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter? All that kind of shit. All that gone. Remember all that? It's all bullshit. No one.
But it's not even that. It's the backlash to that I'm going to be most surprised about, because it's like, nobody from the filmmaker side said anything about this. You, some idiot, put it in your own heads. Now everybody's running with it, and you're going to be disappointed because something that you wanted to show up, nobody ever said was going to happen, could happen, potentially happen, doesn't happen, and you're going to be angry.
They made the mistake of talking about the multiverse, and I think that was the first problem, right? And
the movie says the multiverse. It's not the mistake. It's core to the concept in Across the Spider-Verse. But like, even when that movie came out, we probably said it on shows where, wouldn't it be cool if Miles turned up in the next, if he crossed over with Tobey Maguire or something in the next one?
Sure.
So that's all part of the fun.
There's a you're right, Ian. There's a point where it's fun and wishful thinking, but when you start doxing people afterwards,
that's where it's bullshit.
Oh yeah, that's where it's bullshit. Right?
It's that that second half, which is a problem.
But this is where I think Sony and Marvel have become, or Sony in this case, not in their other movies, but have become a victim of their own success, right? In the sense that, yes, comics did it to a certain extent back in the day, but everything about the MCU, whether on TV or cinema, has become about the promise of what's next. Like, if you look at something like Eternals, it's such a great example. No one is talking about Eternals. Everyone is talking about those two post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the promise of what's next, right? And I think...
It's also that the Eternals wasn't... Well, I was listening to a podcast, I think it's Junk Filter podcast I had tried before. It's Jesse Hawken has been ragging on Eternals fans for ages, writing like fake blurbs that you would see in the varieties, like, you know, just winding people up. And people aren't talking about that movie because they loved it. No one loved Eternals. It was fine, but it's not...
It was fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
not inspiring kids to dress up as anybody on Halloween, right?
Yeah. All those Icarus costumes have gone straight in the bin once they saw the movie.
Yeah.
But also they've made billions of dollars by constantly keeping people on the hook. Like that's all it is. Every movie is keeping us on the hook. At the end of Loki, we're essentially it's the biggest cliffhanger of all time, and we're just kept on the hook for what's next.
No, and I mean, I think Venom was a perfect example of that, right? Like I'm tempted to. Ian
Sorry, did you
technical...
turn on your Bluetooth speaker and did it sync with the YouTube feed? Is that what happened?
It was synced with my phone, and so I was just double checking to make sure the feed was working. It started playing your conversation from a few minutes ago, just to make sure everything's working.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Anyway.
But Venom, you're right.
Venom. Well, I was gonna say was Venom was that the Venom the movie was the most pointless of movies, but that post-credit sting almost made it worthwhile.
On the second one,
of course.
Yeah, and it gives us an idea of where they're going.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But that was why you bought your ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be it might be why I buy the ticket second time around.
I mean,
right?
this you know this is your brain on capitalism. This is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. Yeah.
Until we rise up and seize the means of producing Venom movies ourselves.
we sit here in our Ted Lasso jerseys, drinking Coca-Cola and wearing Levi's jeans.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm a big fan of capitalism.
But you know what? I mean, this is one of those first looks that I wasn't mad about, just because I loved that first Spider-Verse movie so much, and even though it was 2.5 minutes, it was a lot of fun, and it gave me a sneak peek at what's coming next year, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's the kind of thing that these teasers are supposed to do, right? They're supposed to make you excited for what's coming next.
Yeah. No, but also call it a teaser. Don't call it a first look. It's Americanese. We don't speak American. And that's the last time we'll ever mention first look on this show ever again. All right?
First look. Yeah.
Motion carried.
Motion carried.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Pass. Yeah. I think also for me, it's also a good idea to call it a teaser and not have the full trailer come out 3 weeks later. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They do that thing where they release a teaser and then tune in next week for the full trailer. Why just give me the fucking full trailer?
Well, Ridley Scott did that with Covenant, right? There was a teaser. It was a 10-second teaser for the trailer. It was 3 days later, I think it was. Covenant and Prometheus did that, and it was like, fuck.
One of those guys, yeah.
But also, you gotta. You were talking about the marketing team. It's also like, don't release your teaser when another movie in the same franchise is coming out in a couple of weeks. It's like, dropping this like after No Way Home came out, maybe might have been a better idea.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're hoping to ride that Spider-Man SEO Google search wave. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
The Google search wave.
Yeah.
So you can check out the Spider-Verse 2 or Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 teaser on YouTube, or also we posted it on our social media feeds. It's on our Instagram page as well. You can watch it there, and let us know what you think. Has it got you excited? And did you, like us, love the first movie? I mean, you know, we can talk about this now, and it's quite interesting. Like when the first movie came out, we watched it a few months. Sony called us in to watch it a few months before it came out, and we saw a work print. And even the work print was exciting, just because like not all of it was finished, and some of it was still hand drawn, and it still gave you a fascinating idea of like, oh, we immediately thought this thing is going places like we've never seen before.
And also, and even if there's ever been a work print that would work when the scenes break down to like crudely rendered shapes, it's this movie. It's like, oh, they've just popped into the Blender universe where they're all, you know, not fully animated yet.
Check out the teaser. Let us know what you think. I'm really excited for that one. Also, in other news, I guess better late than never. The movie Another Round that won Best International Feature at this year's Oscars. So I'm going to say the movie is 18 months old. Is finally in Malaysian cinemas. I saw it on Hulu late last year because it was added to Hulu. I absolutely loved it. I think it's just a fucking brilliant film. But Ian, you checked it out at the cinema, and you were pleasantly surprised that there were very few cuts. Yeah,
it was marked as 18, so that were graded as 18, so that was good. But yeah, I guess we're used to normally giving it at the censors here, and I think it's because it's like things that would be considered chaste in other territories are considered no here. So for this, I saw a man and his wife lovingly make love and kiss each other, and I was shocked Shocked, I tell
Shocked.
you. Just to see it. It wasn't my morality wasn't inflamed or anything like that. It was just like, wow, I haven't seen that in a while on TV. So
Yeah.
it helped that it was a good movie. But it's it's at GSC International Cinemas, and I think go see it. We should go see it in the cinema if you can, because otherwise we don't get more of these. And it was fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun experience. Even the other reviewers who were there with me were like jokingly, "Let's go for a drink afterwards," because it has the setup. It sounds like a setup for like a Judd Apatow movie, or an Adam Sandler movie, right? These guys think that they've heard that supposedly your blood alcohol level is 0.05% under what it should be. So if they maintain that, their lives would be better, and they do get better for a while.
Yeah.
But it's heartfelt. It's funny. It has its ups, and it definitely has downs. It's an art house movie. There's some stuff that goes on there.
But it's not. It's not I mean, when we say art house, sometimes I think people immediately read that as inaccessible. It's a very accessible film.
Oh,
I mean,
it's a spectrum.
These characters are super relatable, and
there's no car chases and no explosions.
No, but the key word you used, even in your review, Ian, which is on the site now, is that it's funny. It's genuinely funny, and it's not like an art house smirk funny. There were moments when I was laughing out loud.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, like Ian calls it. This is an adult drama, right? This is the adult drama everybody watches at home on HBO and is surprised that they didn't see it in the cinema. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like people, I can see people bumping, stumbling into this on TV and then messaging me going, what's a great movie? That movie. And I'm just like, sure, but nobody went to see it in the cinema, right?
You must have different channels than we have, because I think this is the kind of video, this is the kind of movie you used to find in the DVD store, I think, was where you'd get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is the kind of film that would show up quietly on one of Astro's movie channels. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like I saw Red Violin on Astro, but it was at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just one of those things, right? And it's that kind of, it feels like one of those things that will pleasantly surprise you and make you wish you had seen it in the cinema.
Yeah. And you know what? We say this with all of the GSE International films. Like GSE International Screens tends to bring in really, really good films. Either they're Oscar winners or featured at Cannes or something like that. And it's very rare that we get it. And it's become even rarer because of the pandemic, when cinemas are trying to bring in a vast majority of sure things, right?
Yeah.
And so even the cinema operators were telling us the likelihood of us getting some of these smaller, talky features, because Malaysians aren't necessarily attracted to that sort of thing, is less until they get back on their feet, because they're at 50% capacity and they still have to fill those seats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go watch this. It's a rare opportunity. And
it's a really good movie.
Great film.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. And with that in mind, at one point Matt Mikkelsen dances, and it is astounding.
That's worth the ticket of admission alone.
That's your Venom post-credit scene.
That was my second time being shocked and astounded watching that movie. He's like, this is cute, and then it's like, wait, what? He's pulling off some moves here.
Yeah, he's doing it.
So another round, if you check goggler.my, we've listed down all the cinemas where it's showing at. It's on GSC International Screens. We strongly urge you to go check it out on the big screen, right? So that's showing now. Also, just before we get into movie reviews, Bahir, you're coming across in stunning HD. What's going on? Did you change your camera by any chance?
New webcam. Who's this?
Oh, look at that!
Go!
Is this sponsored?
No, we didn't name the webcam.
Then why bring it up?
I don't know.
I
don't know why Umar does it.
But his face is looking sharp.
Well, if we're going to have if we're going to have an AV minute, your audio's a bit hot.
Is it loud?
No, it's hot. It's like crackling. I'm getting crackling. Are you getting crackling, Uma? Or is it?
I'm not.
Or is it being? Do AirPods like filter out the mistakes that other AirPods are making, so that everyone thinks they're perfectly quality, and the chud with no AirPods is going, look guys, you sound weird.
No, I'm not hearing any crackling on Bahir's side.
It's on the Zoom mic, maybe the selection in there. I don't know, but it just seems a little crackle. But it seems to be fine.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's get some movies then. Oh, actually, no. Before we get to movies, we did a thing. over the weekend. I don't know how many of you have heard of Secret Cinema. It's an organization, and I think it started in the UK,
It started in the
where
UK.
where they do cinema experiences. And what I mean by that is, so for example, they'll do Back to the Future, and you buy tickets, and you show up at this location, and essentially they will play out key scenes from the film, real people with props and everything, and so you are essentially living Back to the Future or living Casablanca or The Empire Strikes
Star
Back.
Wars, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they started small, but Back to the Future was one of the big ones they did. I think in the mid 2010s, and that was like a summer event, so it was bigger than they'd done before. They had DeLoreans and skateboarders.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I've been following them because originally they didn't tell you what the event was. You would buy a ticket and turn up.
You just buy a ticket and show up.
Yeah.
Which I think I told this story numerous times before. I did in 2010, and we were in some broken ass cinema in Shepherd's Bush when I was in the UK, and we got to see Wings of Desire with a trapeze artist at the same time as a trapeze artist, an actual circus before the movie that features the circus, and a Berlin Wall era Germany style bar and Wiener styles and everything, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you can check out some of the stuff of their old work on YouTube. I mean, I went and looked at. I keep watching the Casablanca one. The Casablanca one is just mind blowing.
I haven't seen
they
that.
recreate Rick's Cafe Americano. It's just there. It's crazy.
The one I saw was the Blade Runner one, where the Blade Runners got on they bust them out from the center of London to somewhere in the Docklands, and so then Blade Runners got on the bus and made everyone get off for inspection to see if there was any androids on board.
Wow.
And they led them through loads of shipping containers where they had noodle bars and all that kind of stuff. And they chased down a replicant and blew him away in the middle of all the crowd. So insane.
Nice. Yeah, and these are professional actors, and like even the YouTube ones of the Star Wars ones, everyone's in incredible prosthetics. I mean, all of this is super serious.
That was the one where I was like, God damn it, I want to go now. Right? When I saw that one.
And obviously they haven't been able to do anything because of the pandemic. I think they're only reopening in January of next year.
Oh, right.
And I think
is that when they're doing the arcane thing? Or the arcane thing now?
The arcane is virtual as well.
Is it? I don't think so.
It is. Yeah, because
Sure.
I wanted to sign up for that, but I know nothing about arcane, so I thought it might be a waste. But next year they're starting with Bridgerton.
Oh,
okay.
Which I'm really curious as to how they're going to do it, because all of it's about doing it. So that'll be interesting. And then in July of next year, they're doing Dirty Dancing, which could be amazing.
Bring your
Sounds
water.
great.
Do you have to
Dirty
bring your own
Dancing.
watermelon?
Oh my God,
Oh.
yes. But in the meantime, they just started doing virtual experiences, and they did one for Ghostbusters called Paranormal Institute. We all signed up with a bunch of our friends. There were 6 of us, and essentially you're a Ghostbuster trainee. It's this interesting virtual platform they've kind of created, where everyone it's still live interactive videos. Like I honestly thought it was going to be pre-recorded stuff at first, but nope. Real actors talking with you, interacting with you, and it takes place like a year after the first Ghostbusters movie ends, where Peter and Ray and Egon and how am I forgetting his name?
Winston.
Winston.
Sorry,
Sorry, I double
setting
checked.
up a training institute.
I double
right?
checked. There is an arcane one in Los Angeles that is live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Opens Los Angeles November 2021. So maybe I don't know if they've moved that or something, but it's
that's cool.
It's the city of Piltover.
Oh wow. Yeah. So Peter, Ray, Winston, and Egon are setting up a training institute, and you are one of the trainees, and you go through the whole thing, and it's because it's a year after the event. It's still similar events to what happened in the first movie, but slightly skewed.
Yeah. And we met the Phobusters.
The Phobusters, yeah.
The Phobusters,
who were hamming it up in the best possible way.
I thought Ray was pretty close. Ray got the accent of Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd pretty well good,
Yeah.
but Venkman was like, "Who is this guy? He
Oh,
looks more like Rick Moranis."
And the actor playing Winston was spot on.
Yeah, but he also just mugged at the camera all the time. But they were pre-records. We had pre-records intermixed with live because we had My Two Janines, which is an upcoming novel I'm writing. We had 2 different Janines. They were pretty close together, but there was some hair differences, I think, and that they were completely different people.
Yeah, but no, it was a very, I think, interesting style of doing things.
Yeah, I mean it's fun because I've never had a chance to do the secret cinema thing. I mean,
Same.
When I was in the UK, I wanted to take part in them, but because they never told you what the movies were up front, and I was a lowly student, I didn't have that kind of money to be throwing around to potentially get involved in a film that I'm not a massive fan of. So
Yeah.
I didn't bother doing it. But I think this is a great way of allowing essentially the rest of the world to get in on the fun because it was fun. I mean, the pre-recorded stuff were cute, but it was the what shall I call it? The audience participation stuff was great. You know, like them asking us questions. And I think I was going to say the other day how a friend of ours got called a lot because her name was Amelia, and I think hers was the easiest one to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. They freaked out when they saw Uma Park and Ampike Park, and they were like, oh. Yeah.
They just called you, oh, hey, my angel or something at one point.
At one point, one of them said, yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, it was great. I think the cast were great. At one point, my wife, who was taking part in a different room, one of our cats happened to be around and was making a bunch of noise, and they picked up on that and they sort of played up with it. It was great. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, you were with the tarot card reader and she was like, I sense the presence of a feline.
Yeah, that's true. It was great, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering what it looked like, we had a bench, we were all basically, it was like, it would be perfect for running Dungeons and Dragons. There was like one big screen, which is what we were all watching. We were all logged in from our own homes and we had our own cameras along the bottom and we're all listening on headsets.
Yep.
And they talked to us and asked us to do things and would ask questions, and then there was some games which I don't think worked at all. Maybe that was the technical failure that happened.
Yeah, there were some glitches.
Yeah.
I wonder if the games were just... Because I realized that there were points when the games were... The things that we were supposed to do, like we were supposed to fold pieces of paper and stuff.
I don't mean that. I mean, like they said, when we're attacking ghosts, the ghosts are supposed to glow. We're supposed to make noise to attract the ghosts and then click on them and they go into the trap. But they never glowed. Yeah. They never seemed to work. So I'm wondering if we were funneled down a different track where we did the interaction with the guy, the quiz show and the other things like that. Whether that was normal to do that or whether you would just play through and click.
I think you were. I think we were, because in the description of the whole thing, they say there you will go down the path of one of two possible endings.
Yeah.
So I think maybe if you were a better Ghostbuster or if your mouse worked better, you might have a different path. Like we ended up in purgatory at one point.
Yeah, that was a shock,
pretty fun,
and it was delightful.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that guy in Purgatory, he improvised the hell out of that. That was just like delightfully fun acting we got from that.
But no, I want to do other things like this. I just think it lends itself to so much fun stuff. And I don't know if they were using a ready platform. I remember finding a platform online once. Oh God, I can't remember what it's called, but it's custom built for D&D and role-playing games, for pen and paper role-playing games. And I didn't register for it, but it does the same thing where it gives you a video. You can be the dungeon master. You can show up your maps and all of that stuff. And so I don't know if Secret Cinema guys built this or they're just piggybacking off something else, but it's a really, it's a cool, fun, interactive thing. Like, where was this at the beginning of the pandemic? God damn it.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, this goes back to what I was talking about, I think, a couple of podcasts ago about how during the pandemic, I saw more concepts than I did when it wasn't the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they are able to pull this off, if the guys at Secret Cinema will make more money out of this than they would the physical stuff. Because if you think about it, you now have a wide audience, right? Like, I listened to a football podcast, and they would do, they used to do sort of live podcast events. Not live podcast events. They would do live events, which are not recorded. So you have to buy a ticket and you have to show up.
Yeah.
But then over the pandemic, they did it online. So, people in Australia were able to tune in, people in Malaysia. Yeah. So it was
because they've got fans all over the world, right?
You've got fans all over the world, exactly, right? So I wonder if this kind of thing the physical Secret Cinema would be perfect, would be better. If you're in the area, that's the one you put up money for. But for the rest of us who are not there, tuning in at 11:30 on a Saturday night is not the worst way to spend a Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real precedent for taking something that was offline, like I don't know, a podcast or something, and then putting it live so people can listen and talk and actually leave comments.
Yay!
Yay!
About 10 years ago, no, about 8 years ago, I had spoken to the guys from Lifescape Asia, who were good friends of ours, and they were talking about speaking to Rahul, who some people might know because he organizes a lot of the big concerts in Malaysia. And we were talking about how much it would cost to bring this in, and he had looked into it. And unfortunately, the cost proposition for bringing something or doing something like this in Malaysia, as in doing their version in Malaysia, was a bit prohibitive, because in the UK, the tickets are £49, which is incredibly reasonable for what this is.
Right. Yeah.
But convert that to 250, 280 ringgit, and it becomes prohibitive for a lot of people in Malaysia, because it's quite a lot, especially if you're going as a family or if you're going in pairs. And also, whether we have the critical mass of people who will go for something like this, and the cost of putting it up when you see the scale of the production and you watch it on YouTube,
and I mean,
it's
look,
a lot.
For me, the bigger issue would be, would we have the talent to pull it off, right? I mean, I hate to rag on it, but like, would you want to see a Malay Janine? Would that Malay Janine be able to pull it off? You know what I mean? Like,
so I had an alternative proposition to that, Bahir.
What was the ghost movie we watched a while ago? That was
yes, that's
good.
one. But I was thinking, imagine a secret cinema with highlights from a P. Ramlee film, where you
no, but that's fine. Now the question is, do you think you'd be able to find cast members who will be able to interact with audiences?
Well, you have to. That's the point. Everyone we've interacted with was probably an acting student or had dreams of something better. We weren't getting the cream of Emmerdale. You know what I mean?
I know. My point is, do you think our not the cream of whatever acting school would be able to? My point is, I don't know if we have the people who will be able to think on their feet the way the guy from Purgatory did.
I think you could find them, and that's one thing I wonder about, like with this, because we had a full team. There was six of us on our team. The other teams were less than that, but there was 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it 4? So there's 5 teams altogether in our class, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you're looking at like 30 people, maybe, right? So compare that to one run of Blade Runner, which is that, like I said, it's an entire area, but there may be, I'm not sure if you're paying money for I think you're paying money for the food if you're buying food, so there's that element of it. You have the actors running through that, but instead of getting 30, they're acting in front of 100 people or 180 people. So you might be able to get more through that way. And I do wonder how, like, were we it for that hour, or was there another Janine going live at that hour? Because they wouldn't have double sets, right? I mean, there was certain things where we were waiting a little bit because I think someone had to get somewhere, had to move locations.
Yeah, I think because we were in the fake car, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I think it's possible they may have had double sets, especially if they're having 2 separate endings and you needed like a Janine on both sides, right?
Yeah, but I also think that a lot of that was pre-recorded. Like, I think the ending sequence was completely pre-recorded. I think we did the clicking there where it wasn't waiting around. Like, it was literally just clicking, the last clicky bit we did.
Yeah. The timing element wasn't so much there.
Yeah.
Which in itself is pretty damn impressive, given how seamless the experience was.
It was like Flash came to life and lived again.
That was a lot of fun. Good way to spend a Saturday night, I have to say. I mean, not so great for everyone in my house with all the screaming I was doing.
Yeah, the loudness at 11 o'clock at night was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
I think Amelia's mom was like, "Can you please keep it down?"
It's like, I'm busting ghosts, Mom.
All right. If you want to check it out, go to Secret Cinema. Google Secret Cinema. It's on their page, and it isn't super expensive either. It's £22 per person, so it's about 100 ringgit, 120 ringgit, but well worth it.
And hot tip, when you sign up, you have to put in your name, put in your real name, because nothing will ever live up to Janine Melnitz calling you by your real name.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
or in your case, I'm attempting to.
Attempting to, yes.
That's okay. Yeah.
Check it out, Ghostbusters Paranormal Institute. It's a secret cinema experience. We highly recommend it. All right, folks, let's talk movies. We've got 2 big releases to talk about. One's coming out next week. One's out now. So the first one is a local production. It's called Prebet Sapu. And it is Malaysia's official submission for Best International Feature at the next Oscars. It is a new film, but one that was shot in 2018, in and around the last elections. It's by director Muzaffar Rahman. It's his first movie. He's done another movie since, which was, I think, premiered in cinema last August.
Right.
August 2020, when that brief period when cinemas reopened for a bit. It was called Takut Ke Tak, and it was a horror film. And this one is a black and white movie. It's about Aman, played by Amirul Effendi, who is a Pahang boy that comes to KL after his father's death in search for a job and a better life. And also Bella, played by Lim Mei Fan, who is an international studies student by day and an escort by night. And after a chance encounter, she is a passenger in his car one day. They kind of develop a friendship that is seemingly based around both of their mutual hardships, right? That's the commonality that they both have. And they form this very unlikely friendship. And the story is kind of set amidst the 2018 elections, and Muzaffar kind of uses that to kind of reinforce his point that our politics are kind of pointless, and that irrespective of all of this hyperbole about landmark elections and regime change and all of that nonsense, it really doesn't matter to the man and the woman on the street. And that's kind of the message of the movie, essentially.
It's one of them. I think the other message is that, like, the people that you might think are, or that you don't think about at all,
that you don't think about,
the taxi drivers and the escorts of this world, there's a lot more going on than you might think.
Yes, that too. I mean, I have to say, I thought it was, for me, I think I have a mixed reaction to this film. I thought it was beautifully shot. It really is a love letter to KL. And for me, what's incredible, I think Muzaffar is a very good visual storyteller. The way he frames KL, always from the ground up, kind of creating this disconnect between his two protagonists and the glass and steel of the city, right? They're always out of reach from that. I thought it was a very, very clever framing device. I love the idea that even, he uses radio and TV footage in the background to talk about the politics, to let us know what's going on. And even, I mean, you've got a photo up there, Ian, and even in the way he frames Aman constantly gazing out at the bones of TRX, which is a 1MDB legacy, and this reminder of, oh, look, what's new is actually old, folks. Yeah, I thought all of that was very cunning.
Yeah, and things have changed completely now, as opposed to when I look out the balcony and look at the bones of Merdeka 118 slowly coming together.
Exactly.
Yes.
Man, that thing is huge.
Yeah, I can hear the shift change siren from my house.
Okay.
I don't think it's that close. I think it's just that loud and it's that tall. It echoes everywhere. There's nothing blocking the sound.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the visual storytelling was fantastic, and I say it's a mixed bag for me is because I think I had some issues with the writing of the film and the kind of, I guess, the characterizations for me. There were certain bits that fell a little short. So it's weird in the sense that I'm writing the review, like the written review for the site, and the more I think about the film, the more questions pop into my head going, but why did he do that? And so I think, and it boils down to kind of the writing of it. So for example, Aman's character is this taxi driver, illegal e-hailing ride-sharing driver, right?
Kampong.
But there's a and this idea is that he's from the kampong in Pahang, and for a fake e-hailing called Tumpang, right? Tumpang doesn't exist, right? It's fake.
No. Right.
Yeah.
It's a good name, though.
And they don't explain it. It's good they don't explain it. They don't. They just give you enough respect to you'll figure it out.
Yeah, but at some point in the film, in the second act, it's kind of mentioned that he's a writer as well. And for me, that was a very weird and a jarring disconnect, because the way Amirul Effendi performs the character wants you to think that he's this kampong guy in the big city.
Yeah.
And yet, when they mention that he's a writer who's worked in a publishing house and so on and so forth, it creates in your mind a different image, which doesn't always gel with the performance that Amirul Effendi is giving. And I felt the same with even Bella's character, who, there are a couple of moments where she said, I'm international studies, I'm going for a test and all of that stuff. But it feels like it's told to you for you to go, oh, actually, you know what? These people are very smart, but yet their performances fall back on the kind of cliched performances we often see of I'm a taxi driver, I'm an escort in local films.
I'm a hooker with a heart of gold.
Heart of gold. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think those moments I found kind of jarring and kind of pulled me out of the film at certain bits, because I was waiting for the emotional hook, and I was waiting to be sad and cry. Because that's what it's going for, right?
Kind of.
As a Malaysian watching this, you're supposed to be like, oh, I'm angry, I'm sad.
Really?
No, I mean,
it's I don't know. I mean, it's interesting that the same week we talk about another round. I'm glad I'm not writing the review for this, because I wasn't sure what to think, but I think now it's forming in my mind in opposition to what you're talking about, Uma. I think I get the feeling that those stereotypical aspects you're talking about are to give the impression of the drivers that we get when we're getting grab cars and stuff like that. They may be taciturn, they're not talking, but that doesn't mean they don't have this inner life. But he's worn down. Amarul Effendi's worn down at this point. You know, his father's minutes after his father's funeral. It's like, don't forget, your dad owes me $3,000, so no rush. But you know, you're not that talkative when your shit hits the fan and your fucking life's on the line, and there's very few options available. I thought the reveal of the writer stuff was nicely done. I thought I was like, okay, that's interesting. And as he warms up to Bella, you see more of that side of him. I thought.
I agree with Umar in that this movie was very well shot. I think it was beautiful. I think I lived in the heart of KL for about 12 years, and there were a lot of those places that they were walking around. I sort of remembered, but there were also they picked up really nice spots of Kuala Lumpur that don't automatically scream Kuala Lumpur, because it's not the Kuala Lumpur that a lot of people in the middle class would know. You know what I mean? I really, really appreciated that. But I think I agree with Umar as well in that I think the story left too much to the imagination of the audience. I think there was a lot of like, you were supposed to fill in the blanks, I think, and that felt like not great writing for me.
Also, they said you're crushing at your house instead of crashing at your house. That annoyed me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes.
Did you notice there was one shot? I mean, these days, you know, they hide special effects and everything. There's one shot where he's outside the flats and he's looking up and he's having a panic attack, and the three buildings move in separate planes.
Yeah.
That was something that I really liked. But I mean, most of this, to follow what you said, Bahir, most of the places that turn up, and this is my jogging route around the city centre.
Yeah.
I recognize this dodgy alleyway where people almost get shivved. I've gone past there every twice a couple of days. But I still think I liked it more than you. I mean, it did meander a lot. I think it did. At the beginning, you're like, okay, we're seeing driver after driver. Is this going to be just like told from other people's stories told through him?
Yeah. And I think that was one of the things that I was kind of hoping for a little more, because and you know, I've come to ignore these things in local films because I know local filmmakers love getting their popular actor friends to cameo.
I was just thinking, you're like, out there, you can set your watch by how often it is until someone you know is going to turn up. Right?
But I feel like there needs to be a purpose when you do that. So in this movie, it felt like when Bront showed up, he had a character, he had a part to play. Meanwhile, when Quinoa was in the cab, it was a cute moment, but I don't think it did anything for the story. When Sharifa Amani and Nadia Nisa shows up, it's 90 seconds or less.
It's slightly plot related.
It's a little bit, but it just.
But the impact doesn't happen, and then some other plots happen, and then we time jump, and then there's the end, and you're like, oh, was that? I get that was maybe could have been the movie all along. Like there's 3 movies there.
Exactly. And for me, what that felt like, it felt like a first movie. It felt like, oh, you know, he's a clever filmmaker, and here's a clever filmmaker with a lot of stories to tell. And he's putting everything, like all these stories he wants to tell, into this film. And I think a little bit of focus might have helped in that sense. I think you're right. You're right. You know, about the time jump and stuff, and you know, and you know, credit where it's due, right? Because at least, unlike say a certain zombie dinosaur movie we saw, everybody's hairstyles were consistent, and you could tell immediately it was a time jump because of Emerald Finley's hair. And I'm like, look, Conti.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, for me, this
It's definitely mid-table, I think, right? Is where you're going for.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess for me, the thing is that this is literally the least I could hope for a Malaysian film, and that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah, because this is the first Malaysian food movie we've had on here for a while, but we're not ragging on it, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
What did you say the last? There was something you said here last time about Uma about Malay movies. It's like, was it the ghost one I mentioned earlier? What was the ghost one? I've already forgotten. My mind.
Adahantu.
Yeah, was it when we were watching Adahantu and you said this is the first Malaysian movie you haven't ragged on the show?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
So now there's two. There's two now.
Two. Exactly. Now there's two. Yeah, and I think that's
we have a spectrum.
Thing, right?
We have 2 points.
Yeah, and I mean this unlike something like Adahantu, which is clearly for the masses. It's a semi-horror, maybe comedy kind of film. Very accessible, right?
But also very smart.
But also very smart. But if you're gonna do, this feels like a drama for an adult. It feels like a drama for an educated cinema audience. You're not gonna go into this thinking it's gonna be. You're not going to be bawling your eyes out. You're not going to be hating on the bitchy mother-in-law. You're not going to be. There's not going to be a ghost that pops up somewhere.
Despite the fact that there's a car in the scene for 80% of the movie, there is no car chase in the third act.
There's no car chase. There's no car accident.
Or a crash, comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
none of that stuff.
No. Yeah, none of that stuff, right?
There's no drifting. There's no racing. There's no hot rods.
It's a fairly slow moving car. But I think this is a great first shot at a film. This is a film that doesn't have any of the caveats of and it's good for a Malaysian film. You know, if this was in French, I'd say the same thing. If this was in Italian, I'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
This is good. This is a good film.
Yeah.
But also, what makes it good is the fact that Muzaffar Rahman is trying to say something, and I think that's the most important thing, right? He's trying to say something, and he has a message with his film. He doesn't shove it down your throat. It is quite nuanced and subtle for the most part.
But yes, Chinese and Malays can be friends.
They can be friends if they try.
And also, Malay boys and Chinese girls can be platonic friends. As far as we can tell. It's when Harry met...
That too.
Yeah, it's when Bella met Aman, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And it might be familiar territory, but I think what he manages to do is that he manages to create... Like, I was surprised at how well he created an atmosphere of poverty and oppressiveness and all of that just using his camera, right?
I felt very anxious watching this movie at times.
Yes. I mean, you were socially distanced a seat away from me, and when his car got clamped, I heard you go.
Yeah, I was like, because it's. I mean, maybe it's because I watched Made this year, and it was just like, oh no, it's happening again. I can see
bad thing after another.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, once that avalanche that's going, it's like the poverty trap. And I think there was another point where someone throws a phone out a window, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah, it's the only one you have.
Yeah, it's your online banking. You're fucked these days if you do that. Haven't you seen? I'm forgetting again. The movie with Russell Crowe where he gets into everything in your one's life by the phone.
Oh God! Yes.
Oh God! What was that called? Yeah, I mean, when that happened, I was like, I was like, wondering if
you were just like, just turn it off.
Yeah, just take out the SIM card. You're poor. You can't afford to throw away a phone.
Throw the SIM card out the window. I was wondering if I was concerned that we could hit someone in the back because they really threw that. If they threw that, the way she flung that phone out the window, it was a real fling. You know what I mean?
There is a motorcyclist dead on the Panchala link right now
somewhere. Yeah. I mean, but look, I think at the end of the day, this is if what everybody's whinging about with bad Malaysian films.
Yeah.
Sebalik Baju, Zombietopia,
Frontliner, yeah.
When you say everybody, you mean the three of us, yeah.
No, but I mean, everybody else on Twitter was ragging on those films as well, right? I think the point is that when you have a good one come out, if you don't go and back it, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
This is better than all of those.
This is way better than all of those.
Put that on the
right?
poster.
Like,
Better than those other Malaysian
better than those other pieces of shit.
But also, it's not. It's a worthy submission, right? It has its flaws, and I can nitpick at those story plots and those character pitfalls. But I don't feel embarrassed when Finas goes, "Hey, we're sending this to the Oscars," right? I mean, it's not. I mean, and Roh was the same. Last year's Roh, I was like, okay, worthy submission.
Yeah.
You know,
wasn't my favorite, but it was okay. It was at least competent and had something to say and went out there and used its budget and location incredibly well.
Correct. It's not like M for Mahathir. I mean, M for Malaysia, you know, or something else, which just feels like a crony submission.
M for mediocre.
Or you know, submitting a documentary for best international feature film.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I need to read the rules on that. Does that count?
No, I'm sure it doesn't, because there's best international documentary as well.
Best documentary feature. Yeah, that's right.
Best documentary feature. Yeah. So it's a completely different category, right?
Hey. You know why they submitted it, Bahir? Because
it was fiction.
The last election was fiction. Exactly.
Yeah, because that was fiction. Yeah. The takeaway from it's a mockumentary is what it was. Because it mocked all of us. Is what it did. Anyway, sorry. My bad.
But no, Prebet Sapu, I think it definitely has its merits. And I think on the whole, I had an enjoyable experience in the cinema. And to be fair, I think, you know, like Ian always says, we nitpick because we love. Yeah. And you know, I'm not going to blindly support a Malaysian movie just because it's black and white and art house.
I did like the fact that it's diegetic black and white. I've not seen that in a while.
I guess. I go with that. Yeah.
And it wasn't explained to you until halfway through. That was that's a nice touch. That's a filmmaker who feels like they can trust their audience. I'm fine. I like that. Those are touches.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, exactly.
Those are touches that I like.
Yeah.
But it's better than them other movies we bitch and moan about. And
yeah. Look, the director is very competent. The director and the director sort of really pulled this one out, right? I think for whatever budget he made it for, and it couldn't have been a lot.
I think I read in a Malay Mail article that it was 500,000 ringgit.
That's pretty
very good.
That's very. But look, it's clever, right? You got two actors. That's all you want.
Right, you got to buy a shitty Toyota.
Sure.
Yes.
It was a Toyota, right? It wasn't a Saga or anything like that. I think it was.
No, it wasn't a Saga.
Yeah. It wasn't a Saga. Definitely wasn't. But I mean, that could have been someone's car. It could be someone's dad's car, right?
And that's just the Merrill's wardrobe.
Yeah, and I think it's clever use of your budget. You know, you don't have a lot of money. You have two casts. You have two main actors. That's it. You don't faff about with trying to get a drone shot. You don't faff about with trying to get interesting locations, right? Your interesting locations in this case was the side of Kuala Lumpur that a lot of Malaysians themselves don't know, and I think that was cleverly picked, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he did very well.
And once the movie wins the Oscars, I should be offering Prebet Sapu tours of the area because I know where everything is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we should do that.
Walking tours.
Walking tours. Prebet Sapu walking tours. Prebet Sapu, of course, the name kind of stems from... It's a bastardization of private chauffeur.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. The English title they're going with is Hail Driver.
They are going with Hail Driver, yeah.
Hail Satan!
But for me, it sort of draws me to... It reminds me of Hail Caesar, that film from a couple years ago.
I love that film. Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, again, everybody should go watch this movie.
Yes. No. Prebet Sapu opens on Thursday, December 16th. It is fantastic counter-programming for Spider-Man No Way Home, which also opens on the same day.
Look, if you want to go watch a movie on the 16th and we know there are no tickets left for Spider-Man.
No, actually, there are because there are like 75 screenings a day at every cinema.
I think it's still finished already.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So when you haven't booked ahead and you don't want to tell your wife or partner that you didn't book tickets for the Spider-Mans, and you get to the cinema, you just say, let's go see this other movie.
Yeah.
Say, tell your partner we sent you.
Yeah, let's go this one. The other movie might have Tobey Maguire or might have James Franco. We don't know, but this one definitely has Namron in it.
Like every other.
Like every other.
Yeah, I know.
No, we highly recommend it. And also, because we are not, as anyone who's listened to this podcast for any amount of time would know, we are not the kind of people who blindly hashtag support local. But when we do recommend something, we do believe that it's worth watching. And
as the inventors of Director Fight Club.
Yes, exactly. Hashtag Director Fight Club. But we do believe in hashtag support local when it deserves it. And
our
this one does
deserve
it.
Yeah.
Yes, it does come with an asterisk, right? Actually, this movie reminded me a lot of Jagat, as in not the story wise. Actually, even a bit of the story wise, because it's about the downtrodden as well. But also with just how the director kind of frames things with a limited budget, and like what Sanjay did in Jagat as well, working with as little money as he had, and also
Jagat black
working
and white?
with a kid.
Was it?
It was black and white.
Was it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And working with a kid actor who was not a trained actor.
I was gonna jump in. Like, this movie does not look like it was shot on a budget. You know what I mean?
It looks nice. Yeah.
It looks very nice. Like, I mean, some of the shots in the car
right now
was great.
he's at that Merdeka there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So like,
no, but you know what I mean. It's like I've tried. Well, not tried. I haven't tried, but I worked on productions where we had to shoot people in the car. It's a bitch and a half.
He's driving the car and delivering dialogue and not crashing.
It's not green screen.
But it's not even that. It's just trying to fit a camera in there, right? Like so this is technically it is very competent. There's some of those shots were really good shots, and it does not feel like an indie in air quotes kind of movie. Yeah.
And while he's sitting at that end, there's also like some of the much more seedier, smaller, rundown parts of KL are also shown nicely as well.
Yep. And actually, just before we wrap on this one, Amirul Effendi and Lim Mei Fen were both very, very good.
Yes.
And this is their first roles as leads in a film, because they've always played supporting characters. And I think this was
in Muntu Jaga he was definitely I thought he was a lead in Muntu Jaga because he was amazing at that, and the movies he's done since then I was not a fan of.
Right.
But this was Cow and stuff. We're like, is this the same guy? How is this the same guy?
And this was Mei Fen's first film as well. I think you saw her in Two Sisters first. No, but this was her first film. Like, she hadn't, this was her first acting role.
She wasn't acting in Two Sisters. Have you seen Two Sisters? She's in the whole movie.
No, but Two Sisters was 2019. So this was shot in 2018.
Yeah.
Because because even in the credits for this, it says introducing Lim Mei Fen.
Yeah.
And I think in an interview she had said this was her first big gig. It was an Instagram story or something. And
might have been an interview with me. My memory's like I could have actually been what she was talking to when I interviewed her back in 2019 for Two Sisters. Maybe that's what she was talking about. I don't know. I'll have to go back and play the tape.
So yeah, they were both very, very good. And the movie it centers on them. The camera, they're in almost every shot, right? For the most part. Well, he is in every shot. So yeah.
I didn't put in the anger shot. There's the close-up camera of the face close to the camera shot, which are behind, which is like no talk, I angry shot was really like that's a director knows what he's doing, right? Like it didn't have it doesn't matter the expression on Amin's face. It's like just the framing. You're like, wow, nice.
Yeah. Lots of eyebrow acting in this one, sure.
A lot of eyebrow acting, yeah.
All right.
A lot of depressed smoking.
A lot of depressed smoking.
Also, a lot of smoking. Which
a lot of smoking. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is.
But have you been to a Mamak? Well, I don't know. Recently, I think they recently started. They were like, we're not really checking for COVID that much anymore. Now it's time to get back on the smoking ban because.
No. What I was going to go on was that for a local film to have its lead actors smoking on screen, it's an unwritten LPF no.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's usually if you're a bad guy, it's okay.
If you're a villain, it's okay. But like as a hero, so I was quite surprised at the amount of smoking that was in that film.
We didn't get a cert beforehand.
We didn't get a rating beforehand. That was.
Do we know what the rating is? So maybe it is like with another round. It's an 18s, and so. I mean, wouldn't her profession make it in
I don't think anyone under 18 is going to watch this movie, to be fair. But yeah.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody under 21 will probably go watch this movie, to be fair.
Yeah, check out Prebet Sapu when it opens in cinemas. December 16th. That is next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how long, because I don't know if they're still doing the Wajib Tayang thing. So I don't know how long it'll be in cinemas. But if you don't go early, you may not get a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they'll make a special thing because it's an official Oscar submission. Who knows?
Yeah. We were talking to one of the guys behind the scenes with the marketing, and they were saying that they've got 40 screens, or is it more than that? 40
screens. About 40 screens. Yeah. Across the country.
So across the country. So take your shot and watch this movie, right?
Yeah. Sure. And it's going to be super busy, right? Because Spider-Man's opening, West Side Story is opening, Matrix is opening immediately after that. And those movies tend to push out films like this. Yeah, because those are the ones that make real money for the cinemas and the distributors. Yeah. So, yeah, catch it early if you can. Yeah.
Catch it early, catch it often.
Catch it early, catch it often. Absolutely. All right, let's talk about one of those big movies now. We got to see West Side Story early last week. And this is Steven Spielberg's reimagining of the film. It is not a remake of the 1961 movie. It is based off the 1957 musical, right?
Yes.
Spielberg says that he went back to the source material. And actually, it's when after the movie, Bahir and I were doing some digging and looking at the song orders and stuff like that. And it's very clear that, yes, he has, because we've never had the chance to see the actual musical. We didn't even get to catch the revival when it happened. I haven't even seen a fucking high school version of it. So yeah, so the movie was really my only benchmark. Bahir and I are both kind of obsessed with the film. We play the soundtrack a lot. We really love it.
I looked at both your articles prior to the show, and you guys are weird.
Fucking love it, mate. Fucking love it. Yeah.
What is it? So hang on. Bahir confessed to stealing the CD from his sister. And,
That's right.
Yes, I did.
And you watch the movie every year. Is that correct, Uma?
Yep.
Yeah.
I still haven't been able to convince my wife to watch it, but we're going to watch the Spielberg version this weekend again.
Oh, okay.
I'll be watching it again. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I think, like, that's it. I went into this incredibly apprehensive because of my love for the original. And Spielberg knocked it out of the park, motherfuckers. like, okay, listen, when we look at the original film in 2021, there is stuff that is incredibly jarring, right? And Rita Moreno, who played Anita in the original, speaks about it. I mean, there's a documentary about her, and she speaks about all the issues she had with the original film, the lack of, I guess, representation, if you will, the fact that they had painted her in makeup so dark that it would streak. And she talks about that in the documentary, and she says when she challenged the makeup artist, his response was, "Are you racist or something?" Right? That's how insane it was. But at the same time, there was, despite the actors in the parts not being representative, the movie nevertheless did have a huge impact in the story it told about Puerto Ricans and whites and the downtrodden in America and the gentrification that was happening in New York City, and how this area that would become the Lincoln Center was actually being, this entire people were being displaced, right, for the purpose of art. And yes, it had a very powerful message to it. And what Spielberg has done with his version that I find very impressive is the fact that the original movie kind of loses the story for the music and the dancing. And what Spielberg has done, he's brought in more story. Oh no, but no,
we're gonna have an argument about this, my friend.
But you agreed with me. This movie has a lot.
Oh, we got a badass here.
Yeah, we got, this movie does have a lot more story though. And
you're gonna have to, guys. You're gonna have to settle this the only way you can. You're going to have a dance fight
with knives thrown in.
Yeah, but I think for me, I felt that was important, because if you're trying to tell the story in 2021, with the kind of tension that is happening in America right now, it's still a period piece, mind you, but I think he leans into. There's a lot more story in this. There's a lot more story about Anton. There's a lot more story about Maria and Anita and all of that. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I think for me, my big apprehension going into it was that I had spent way too much time taking apart the trailers because I was rewatching the trailers and I kept like. For me, the big thing was that it felt like. And I said this in my sort of article on the site where I wrote about the three big differences that I saw was that Spielberg had removed a lot of the air quotes magic from the original. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that he removed a lot of the surrealism aspect of it.
Yes.
I think I mentioned in my piece specifically about the first meeting between Anita and Tony Maria and Tony in the gym, where in the 61 film it was beautiful. There's this really sort of strange fade out to the hall and it was just the two of them in focus, and I think this one Spielberg sort of removed all that. He made it very realistic, and I think I'm not against that, and I agree with you, Uma, that there was a lot more story here, and he had to ground it.
Wait, realistic, my friend, but still fucking magical. I mean, Janusz Kaminski with that motherfucking camera. I mean, when Ansel Elgort is standing still and all these people dancing around him, it was beautiful.
No, it was great. But it's in the trailer.
I completely agree.
It is.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. Yeah, but I agree with you. But I think that first in the 61 version where everything literally not fades out but blurs out.
You're right. There is a magical realism to
there's
it,
a magical realism in it.
Yeah.
And I think in 2021, I think with people coming out of COVID, I think people with their TikToks and their Instagrams, they're not going to fall for that. They're not going to fall for the Jets and the Sharks ballet fighting in 3 minutes into the film. You know what I mean? I think Ian would have noped out pretty fast, quick. I think.
Yeah, I was on the edge of nope for a bit.
Wait. So this is what I want to know because that's blind, right?
That's the title of my autobiography, On the Edge of Nope.
So you're going completely blind, right?
Yeah, I have vague. When you're talking about the surrealism of the original, I think I vague recollections of maybe being on Saturday afternoons and then like looking for the A-Team instead. It's always.
But you know the music, yeah? I mean, like the songs are so popular.
Some of the songs. The Tonight version wasn't the thing I was thinking of. It was the NKOTB version I was thinking of. That's just me. America was the one that I was like, why isn't I said this to you before? Why isn't this in the branding? And when you watch the movie, you know why it's not in the fucking marketing because when it hits, it fucking hits well. But I think is that surrealism from the original version? Is that surrealism or is that we're adapting a stage show? So is it like I don't remember. I have vague recollections of like, you know, they're doing a filmic take on a stage. It's not like that's Singing in the Rain. Is it Singing in the Rain? Which is the one with Gene Kelly when it's like he's actually just dancing between like a painting of Paris.
Yes.
There's elements of that to it, right? The original one, right?
Yes.
There is, really. But they still tried to make it cinematic. I mean, Spielberg takes it to another level because
I'm not saying it's not cinematic. I'm just saying that it's like as an adaptation of a stage show, you have like you know, you can do where you just have like you know, you're doing Hamlet as a musical. You can just have one throne. That's the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to do you don't have to do a Gibson and get a whole castle, but if you want to, you can.
But Spielberg keeps his camera moving constantly, so it really removes any sense that this was a stage play. Like he's
apart from every time someone wants to, I gotta get across. They commute via the art of dance. I mean, that's really how they get around the place. It's like no subways.
That's the amount of suspension of disbelief you need that people suddenly burst out into dance.
And it did commit the mortal sins of musicals for me, which is that no one talked up front. It's like it starts off with people walking together. I mean, it does start. There is Spielberg hallmarks throughout because you know I was watching it going like, is this the unannounced sequel to Batteries Not Included? It's like, is there a little robot hidden in the background of all these buildings getting trashed? But when the jets do all come together without explaining what's going on, and they're going around and dancing in the streets.
Mate, then you would have noped out of the original.
Oh yes, like I said, I like certain types of musicals. You know, it takes me the animated princess ones primarily. So you know, and I was listening back to it today. There's like some of the stuff from the original, the prologue as well. Some of the music I know. It's classic. It's Bernstein, but it's like some of the music is just not for me. Like the bouncing strings, the discordant jazz, offbeat horns, minor notes. You know, just like that is just like that makes me want to kill things.
He changes count in between songs.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
That makes me want to just like paint over Puerto Rican flags with paint and put nails through people's ears. I hate that shit. It's like stick to the beat. So that kind of stuff annoyed me, but once it got into it,
you got into it.
I was getting into it, yeah. So then once Corey Stoll turned up, and I was like, hey, I know that guy. I don't know why Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man was a grounding presence in the movie for me, but I was like, yeah. Let me see what this guy has to say for them. Because I did think what this did sell nicely was that even though these are thugs, they're still kids.
Yeah.
I think, because the original, I don't know what age they are. They're like, it's Beverly Hills 90210, right? Because they're all 27-year-olds playing 18-year-olds or whatever, right?
Something like that, yeah.
They're kids in the original, but it feels like it's slightly more explicitly.
No, but I mean the actors, though, right? The actors.
But even the actors, the actors is a lot older. Yeah, you're right.
Because that's it. You got the Jason Priestley's of this world playing 18-year-olds when they're 27 or whatever. So. Yeah, that's my impression of that movie as well. Whereas this, it's very clear when you look at Raph. It's like this is a kid who doesn't know anything. And then it also comes to the other reason why the Spielbergian thing about this was the reason why he did this movie. No parents. There's never any parents in his early movies. There's so few parents in his movies, right? Or divorced parents, or what is it? They're all addicts or junkies. That's all the parents are in this movie.
E.T., Close Encounters, Jaws. Parents are terrible.
Yeah, but there was enough going on that I was able to ride along with it, and then America happens. Like the Indians when those ships arrived on their shores. America happens, and what is it? My notes are all over the place. Ariana DeBose, and they just like she's the same as Journey Smollett in Lovecraft Country.
Yep.
There's just like the actress, her wardrobe, everything they give her to do, just light the screen up completely. Yep. I just love it. And that's the reason why they've been keeping that song from you, because when they get to the intersection and there's kids involved, the camera's pulling up, and it's at that point onwards, it's like, all right, I'm on board here.
Yeah, there's a famous story about Temple of Doom, which has that Bollywood dance number in the beginning, and George Lucas referred to Spielberg as a frustrated musical director.
Yeah, anything goes.
Yeah, and
when he introduced the most reviled character in all of the Indiana Jones lore before they made before Shia LaBeouf got involved. A character so reviled, Steven Spielberg had to marry her to get it over it.
But no, I mean, for a frustrated musical director, he's done an incredibly good job. I mean, this kind of rounds it up, right? Like, so Steven Spielberg has now done every genre except maybe horror.
He hasn't done teen vampire movie yet.
Would that fall under horror?
Maybe. I think the horror. I think everyone listening who's a horror fan is like, no, please don't put it under us. It's got nothing to do with us.
I'd like to see a Spielberg horror.
Again, no parents. No parents. Turns to vampirism.
Actually, Jaws is horror, right?
Yeah.
It often gets classified as horror. Yeah.
It's a thriller.
He hasn't done an out-and-out balls-to-the-wall action movie or western.
You could say that Ready Player One was an action movie if you think about it.
True.
There is a big fight in the third act.
That is true.
But it's all CG fight though.
I've been waiting for the point just while we're between points. But the other thing that Spielberg didn't have to do on this movie was go so fucking hard in publicity shots. Look at him. He looks like Walker Texas fucking Ranger. I don't know what.
All of the publicity shots. That's like him and Ansel Elgort, him and Rachel Zegler. I mean, like he's like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm Steven Spielberg.
But he looks like he just walked into Doc's shop and says like, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside.
That photo looks posed. Yeah.
Yeah, but
did you see the photo? I think there was some behind the scenes photos of him and Spike Lee.
Oh, really?
I didn't hear Spike Lee. Spike Lee's not in this movie.
No, he's not. But he
did Spike Lee just show up because it's a New York movie and
it's a New York thing.
Yeah.
So I think that I'll see if I can try and find the photo and I'll send it to you guys after. It's a great photo. Like these two old sort of titans of cinema hanging out, and I think afterwards Spielberg had given him a signed poster with a note on it that said something like, "Thank you for taking me on this journey around New York," or something like that. "Thank you for coming with me on this journey." So it was great. I think it feels very quintessentially New York in a sort of musical 1950s sort of way.
The other big change, of course, between the original and this is he shoots everything from the street level. He makes it very clear that it's a street musical. The original starts with aerial shots of New York before bringing it down. So they want to show you. I just lost my airport. Hold on. They want to show you. They want to show you that. Oh, look, this is the grand New York City.
Yeah.
And this is what they're doing to it, right?
Yeah.
And they're making it. They're taking this other area and want to make it grand as well.
Yeah.
But I felt that the way the camera opens the shot with the fake cladding for the Lincoln Center, I just love that. I just love that movement, and then people and the fact that they come out from under the ground. I thought was really clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna watch this a few times.
Oh, definitely watching this a couple times.
Mate.
Yeah. Definitely watching it a couple times.
I was surprised actually because you skipped over in your article the changes, but there was something that I felt. I've heard Dave Chen from the Filmcast podcast tweeting about like it is great, but it's also tonally all over the place. I think it's not tonally all over the place; it's a musical. But I do think something the '61 version did better was that I Feel Pretty comes after Officer Krupke and before One Hand One Heart Tonight and the Rumble, because having it happen directly after the Rumble, it's like my neck was just snapped off my head and thrown in a dump. Like I was like, what? Whoa! Because it's like,
oh, see, I thought the songs were better placed in this one, even compared to the '57 musical placement of the songs, because like Officer Krupke comes at a weird fucking place.
In the original, Officer Krupke comes right at the end.
Which can be seen as a coda, which is we're still disaffected youths. We haven't changed.
And even Cool comes at like here they use Cool in a completely different way.
No, I think I did. I think Cool was one of the ones where I'm like, I don't like this. This is that's the epitome of the Ian don't like musical songs. This is like
that's
the
epitome of the kind of musical fun that SNL would poke at, right?
Yes. That's
Stay
the song.
cool, boy.
No.
I mean, for me, the overriding memory for that song is when CJ Craig does a bit of it on The West Wing. I think
on The West Wing,
that's always my favorite. No, but I think the arrangement of the music is I mean, it needs better people than me to speak to, but I didn't mind it here. Yeah, the arrangement, the moving of I Feel Pretty to after the Rumble.
Like I said, that's the way in the original musical, so maybe that's why you're fine with it. But for me, it was like someone just died.
I don't know the original musical.
Oh,
I only know the '61 version. You know what I mean? Like I'm going off of the '61.
Sorry, wait. So the '61 version. Oh yeah. So yeah, '61 version has it before the Rumble. Sorry, I was getting confused. So yeah, that version maybe that made more sense to me. That makes more sense having not seen it in a while. But it just felt like directly after that moment, it's like, wow, this is.
Yeah.
This is life is a series of downbeats, and then we're going for this happy joy song. And I guess there's a beat there of like reality's going to come crashing in on her soon enough.
Exactly. That's where.
But it still feels fucking weird.
But because it's immediately after that Chino comes up to her and sort of essentially breaks her world, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point she's just riding this wave of love, and the guy that she loves or thinks
I know, wasn't that great?
Has just been told she's just been told that guy killed her brother, right? So it's a really big coming down to earth kind of situation. I didn't mind it here. I think I understand it's a bit jarring, but you know what it is as well. I think in the '61 version there was a what's it called? I was going to say halftime. It's not halftime.
Intermission.
There's an intermission. Yeah.
So the ref came on, blew the whistle. They all went off for oranges in the middle of the show, right?
15 minutes. Yeah. So there's an actual sort of break in the original one, right? In the '61 version. So maybe that helps it as well. Like there's a breath. We take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here it doesn't. You're right, Ian. There is a bit of a whiplash there, but I didn't mind it. I didn't think that was totally a problem.
Actually, I thought it worked for me just because I like the fact that it was a dramatic decision, right? To have her at the other side of town in her own world, so happy and joyous, and then and then just knife through the
And
heart.
then
Comes
Tony's a
crashing
vampire.
down.
So you just said, sorry, bleh, and knife through the heart. Sounds like Tony became a vampire from the way you're explaining it. What did you guys think of Ansel Armchair and Rachel Ziegler?
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought the both of them were very good. I thought Rachel Ziegler was excellent. Like, for me, it's her and Anita, right? That the reason I liked Ansel Elgort and Rachel Ziegler was that in the original, Rita Moreno just kicks everyone's ass. Like, Maria doesn't hold the candle. Like when Rita Moreno starts singing, you're like, oh look, that's
like,
the
sit
star.
down, Natalie Wood.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Sit down, Natalie Wood.
Take
And
a seat. Yeah.
I think in this one they held their own. I think they both were very, very good.
Yeah.
Even though Ariana DeBose is amazing, I think Rachel Zegler held her own against Anita. So
yeah, I think there was for me it was right at the end that because that to me is the pivotal Maria scene.
Yes,
it's that's the most acting a Maria will do right at the end after what happens to Tony happens to Tony. That really is the key moment. I think I wasn't sure until we got to that point. I know it was the end of the film, but when we got there, I was like, okay, cool. She's got this, right? She's got she understands the weight. She can pull off that anger, that emotion, that rage that Maria felt at that moment.
Yeah. When she grabs the gun from Chino and goes, show me how to use it, I was like, yeah, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And she also doesn't underplay like what happens afterwards as well. It isn't overplayed. It isn't screechy or shrieky.
Yeah, it wasn't theater acting, right? It wasn't over. It wasn't big because the camera's right there in your face. You don't need to do all that. I mean, I think, and there were big differences between Natalie Wood's version, because I feel like in the 61 version, it was anger that sort of falls into disappointment and tiredness very quickly, whereas in this one she sits. Ziegler's Maria sits in that anger for a long time. Yeah. So I really like that rage that she had at the end when what happens. Yeah.
The other thing which I really appreciated was the fact that they didn't just use Rita Moreno as fan service. It was written in as a real thing, and I think it actually changed the way we looked at many scenes as well, because she's playing Doc's wife in the original. When Anita is attacked by the boys, Doc breaks them apart, but this time it hits differently when it's Rita Moreno's, like Doc's wife, breaking them apart.
You highlighted that in your article, right, Bahir?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's a different weight to it. I think it's not. And here's the thing, right? I think when a movie is 60 years apart, it's not saying that one version is better than the other, especially when you have a director. Yeah, especially when you have a director like Steven Spielberg, it's not just one is a better version of the other. The 61 version is a great film, but when Doc pulls them off, it feels different from when Valentina pulls them off. When Valentina pulls the kids off and she says, "I've seen you when I've
known you from the time you were kids. I've seen you grown up.
You were kids, yeah." And whereas Doc's big line is, "When do you guys stop?" Yeah. And there's a big sort of difference in emotion there, I think, right? And I think, like I said in my piece, in the 61 version, it doesn't really look like they were gonna. The implication is that they were gonna do something. Mm-hmm. They had picked up one of the other guys, one of the jets, and they were sort of like holding him over her, So it's a little sort of roughhousing gone too far, right? It's a little it's sexual harassment, whereas in this one,
it's assault.
In Spielberg's version, it's assault. It's just going to be about rape. Right? They chase the other girls out. They lock the door.
Yeah,
it was going to go too far, and I think the adult in the room, be it Doc or Valentina, the approach to that scene is different. It's not just okay, you walk in and pull them off. There's a different weight behind it. There's a different reason behind it, I think. Yeah.
I think it does. It did feel like I was watching a different movie, and I think that's what I enjoyed. I think all of those small moments added up to a a new experience. It wasn't a shot-for-shot remake of the original. There were new decisions that were made to update the story. Even the fight in the beginning, like in the original, they aren't doing anything. I mean, they harass some of the shop owners, but there's no defacing of a Puerto Rican flag, for example.
Yeah.
So
people get fucked up in this version.
People got fucked up in this one.
Paint can to the head, motherfucker.
Paint can to the head.
I'm sorry, the nail, where the nail ended up was unexpected.
Yeah, the nail thing.
That was not in the original.
Yeah. It's also refreshing to see a Latin American musical that doesn't have Lin-Manuel Miranda involved in any way, shape, or form.
In any way, shape, or form. Right? Yeah.
And also, I think that was the other thing. I didn't put it in my list because it was already getting a little too long. But in this version, the sharks the Puerto Ricans are not another gang. They are people who are working in that little ghetto, right? So they're shopkeepers, they're shopkeeper assistants, they're mechanics. Whereas in the original, the sharks were just a reflection of the Jets. They're both sort of just guys who got nothing better to do, pissing over each other's territory kind of situation. Whereas
and there's that line, right?
Yeah.
Which Corey Stoll says right in the beginning. This place is going to get gentrified. You're going to come back, and everyone's going to be living in fancy apartments with Puerto Rican doormen, right? So there's all of these extra bits that I felt added a new dimension to the story.
Yeah, like what a feeling. Ansel Elgort's dancing on the fire escape. That was like. Again, like Prebet Sapu earlier, that gave me anxiety. It's like, wait, he looks like he's up there. Like it doesn't look like he's. There's other scenes where they're dancing around giant holes in the floor, and it's like I know they're not. I know it's not falling down into the Hudson River, but also you could still twist your ankle on that dancing around it and put back to production for 6 weeks. And I was surprised at how they made that work. Like they made it less. It wasn't stagey. It was. I am hopping around on this fire escape because that's what I've been doing my whole life, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But nothing matches America for me. America was fantastic. Because it keeps the fucking beat
choreographed. Yeah, it keeps the beat. But no, go watch it. I'm curious to see. Like we obviously saw press screenings, so I think I was asking Bahir after the press screening on the ride home. I'm curious to see if they'll add a tribute to Sondheim because like either a title card or something, or whether because he died last week, 2 weeks ago.
He died days before we saw
our screening, right?
Well, we didn't get In the Heights in the cinema here, right? What was the last musical that came out in the cinema in Malaysia? Mamma Mia?
Probably Mamma Mia too.
Frozen.
You see that? I would
non-animation.
Non-animation musical. I'm trying to think of.
I was thinking about
probably.
I was thinking about whether non-fans would go and watch this, and I think it really depends on.
I would have never got to have seen this movie.
No.
Really?
But even young fans, right? Like because I was thinking about, I think by selling Ansel Elgort and Rachel Zegler. And the fact that it's a Steven Spielberg film, you may get people who have had no prior experience go to watch it. Because I was thinking of something like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, and I remember back in the day, the studios were hell-bent on him not using Shakespearean language. But all they did in that movie was sell Leo DiCaprio, who wasn't that big at the time, and Claire Danes as hot and young. And it like 14 and 15-year-olds were obsessed with that movie, and 14-year-olds have a poster on the wall.
Because it had style, man. You had sword and the gun. And had John Leguizamo. Everyone from 2 years old to 82 years old loves John Leguizamo.
And Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
He was fucking awesome. But
Michael Rappaport. Talk about your MVP. Michael Rappaport's in that movie.
There is no bigger turnoff to a Malaysian audience than Shakespearean language.
Yeah.
No, but I think in the year of
Our Lord 2021.
No, but people would have seen Hamilton a lot. People would have potentially seen In the Heights. Yeah, I think audiences are a little more comfortable with seeing a musical now. I think
the critical acclaim that this movie is getting as well will help.
Yeah. I don't think it would have worked in 2018.
And Ansel Elgort's 8.7 million Instagram followers might help as well.
Well, that too.
That's probably that as well. Yeah.
And mate, don't forget. Remember at the Baby Driver premiere, The girls were going nuts at
Place was
Pavilion for Ansel
absolutely
Elgort.
crazy. Yeah,
It was insane.
we managed to go this far without dropping the fact that we sat in the same room with Ansel, and he sang to.
He sang to us, mate.
He didn't sing to us. He sang to.
Oh, you shut up. He sang to us.
and to be fair, that was before Ansel Elgort was, I think, anybody really famous, right?
Yeah.
No, he was famous for being good looking, I think, at that point.
Yeah, he was famous to a certain demographic.
Yeah.
Okay. But what was that? What else? Anyway, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's a good draw. So, but no, we think you should go check it out. I mean, even if you had no experience with West Side Story, I mean, I stepped out of that screen thinking, oh yes, I forgot this is what it's like to watch a master at work. Just watching that Spielbergian shit happen.
Yeah, but I don't think we felt that we walked out of Ready Player One though.
But The Post was redemption. Yeah. I didn't hate Ready Player One. I just felt a bit meh.
Yeah. And I've forgotten almost everything about that movie already.
Same.
Except the Iron Giant.
Yes. I should watch the Iron Giant.
Oh yeah, right. No, I after watching this, there were two movies I wanted to go and watch again. Do you guys remember China Girl from the 1980s, which is also a drama but mob Romeo and Juliet inspired one as well?
No.
No. Okay. Check it out. It's really fucking good. But
Beach.
it's about Italian gangs and Chinese gangs in Chinatown.
Oof.
Romeo and Juliet, and I wanted to watch Lerman's Romeo and Juliet again because I haven't seen that in like a decade, I think, probably.
I'm okay.
But I mean, the reason we're mentioning that, of course, is because West Side Story is based on Romeo and Juliet. So yeah, we didn't mention that up top. Go check it out when it drops in cinemas. Actually, no, go check it out now because it's just dropped in cinemas.
Wait, Michael Rappaport is in Romeo and Juliet, isn't he?
I think he is. Yeah. There were a lot of people.
Jamie Kennedy's in it. Jesus Christ. Sorry, continue.
Guns were fucking cool. Yeah.
Paul Rudd's in it as well. Jesus Christ, Ant-Man.
Yeah, Paul Rudd is in Romeo and Juliet. Go check out West Side Story. It's in cinemas right now. Prebet Sapu opens next Thursday, December 16th. We recommend that you go watch that as well. Get in touch with us once you've seen those. Also, get in touch with us if you want to find out more information about Secret Cinema and what we thought about it. You can reach out on all of our social media feeds. That's Goggler MY. Also, podcast at goggler.my. If you feel so inclined to send us an email, you can also reach out on the hotline 012-524-5208. Send us a WhatsApp over there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.